At 4:45 a.m., a mob ambushed the aid trucks, bringing the convoy to a halt.
All of a sudden, the Israeli army started firing at them and shooting. And according to the information that we have, dozens of them have bullets in their heads.
The tanks that were there to secure the convoy sees the Gazans being trampled and cautiously tries to disperse the mob with a few warning shots.
It's not like, firing in the sky to restrain people if there was confusions and chaos. It was intentionally targeting and killing.
No IDF strike was conducted towards the aid convoy. I want to repeat that. No IDF strike was conducted towards the aid convoy.
And the number that we have now is 112 have been killed, and the number is increasing.
On the contrary, the IDF was there conducting a humanitarian operation to secure the humanitarian corridor and allow the aid convoy to reach its designated distribution point so that the humanitarian aid could reach Gazan civilians in the north that are in need. This morning, the IDF coordinated a convoy to 38 trucks to provide additional humanitarian assistance to the residents of Northern Gaza. This humanitarian aid came from Egypt, went through a security screening at the Kerem Shalom humanitarian crossing in Israel, and then entered Gaza for distribution by private contractors. As these vital humanitarian supplies were making their way towards Gazans in need, thousands of Gazans dispensed upon the trucks. Some began violently pushing and even trampling other Gazans to death, looting the humanitarian supplies. The unfortunate incident resulted in dozens of Gazans killed and injured. Here are the facts. At 4:40 a.m., the first aid truck in the humanitarian convoy started making its way through the humanitarian corridor that we were securing. Yes, the IDF was securing the humanitarian corridor so that the aid convoy could reach its destination in northern Gaza. Our tanks were there to secure the humanitarian corridor for the aid convoy. Our UAVs were there in the air to give our forces a clear picture from above. During this humanitarian operation, at 4:45 a.m., a mob ambushed the aid trucks, bringing the convoy to a halt. As you can see in this video, the tanks that were there to secure the convoy sees the Gazans being trampled and cautiously tries to disperse the mob with a few warning shots. When the hundreds became thousands and things got out of hand, the tank commander decided to retreat to avoid harm to the thousands of Gazans that were there. Here you can see how cautious they were when they were backing up. I think as a military man, they were backing up securely, risking their own life, not shooting at the mob. The Israel Defense Forces operate according to the rules of engagement and the international law. No IDF strike was conducted towards the aid convoy. I want to repeat that. No IDF strike was conducted towards the aid convoy. On the contrary, The IDF was there conducting a humanitarian operation to secure the humanitarian corridor and allow the aid convoy to reach its designated distribution point so that the humanitarian aid could reach Gazan civilians in the north that are in need. We have been conducting a humanitarian operation of this kind for the last 4 nights without any problem. The first night that we had this kind of event. This humanitarian aid was coordinated by Israel for the people of Gaza. We want humanitarian aid to reach the people of Gaza. We're working around the clock to make this happen. Israel puts no limits on the amounts of aid that can go into Gaza. We're working together with humanitarian organizations and the international community to help them solve the issue of aid distribution inside Gaza. It is a problem. This morning, humanitarian aid made its way to the Northern Gaza. There was no IDF strike on this aid. I repeat, there was no IDF strike on this aid. On the contrary, the IDF was conducting a humanitarian operation. That's why we were there. Because our war is against Hamas, not against the people of Gaza. We are in a war that we did not start. We did not seek. Hamas started this war when it massacred and kidnapped Israeli civilians on October 7th, and then went back into Gaza and hid behind the Gazan civilians, using them as a human shield. We recognize the suffering of the innocent people of Gaza. This is why we are seeking ways to expand our humanitarian efforts. This is why we are conducting humanitarian operation like the one we conducted this morning.
Thousands of Palestinians in the northern part of Gaza, which is under a total control of the Israeli occupying army. And people went, and my understanding that every few days, a number of trucks with flour and sugar and maybe basic necessity of life would make it to that place where people take some sustenance of life. This time they did the same thing. It seems that they were large in number, thousands. And then all of a sudden the Israeli army started firing at them and shooting. And according to the information that we have, dozens of them have bullets in their heads. It's not like, firing in the sky to restrain people if there was confusions and chaos. It was intentionally targeting and killing. And the number that we have now is 112 have been killed, and the number is increasing, and 750 injured, and possibly the number would be increasing.
Let me start by addressing the tragic incident in Northern Gaza today, where more than 100 Palestinians are reported to have been killed and many more injured. I first of all want to express the United States' deepest condolences to the families of those who died. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed over the course of this conflict, not just today, but over the past nearly 5 months. And when you think about today's tragedy, it is especially heartbreaking to consider how many of those families affected will be burying loved ones not for the first time. In fact, I'm sure that many of those affected have buried multiple loved ones since this conflict began. When it comes to establishing facts on the ground, we are urgently seeking additional information on exactly what took place. We have been in touch with the Israeli government since early this morning and understand that an investigation is underway. We will be monitoring that investigation closely and pressing for answers. This tragic event also underscores the importance of expanding and sustaining the flow of humanitarian assistance into Gaza in response to the dire humanitarian situation, including through a potential temporary ceasefire as part of a hostage deal. If there's anything that the aerial footage of today's incident makes clear, it is just how desperate the situation on the ground is. People need more food. They need more water. They need medicine and other humanitarian goods, and they need it now.
This outrageous, massacre is a testimony to the fact that as long as the Security Council is paralyzed and vetoes casted, then it is costing the Palestinian people their lives. I met in the morning with Ambassador Linda Greenfield, and I couldn't discuss anything except that issue with her, because it happened this morning and the news came to us this morning. I implored her that the Security Council has to produce a product of condemning this killing, and to go after those responsible for this massacre. Accountability is extremely important, and that the Security Council should say enough is enough, and if they have a spine and determination to put an end to these massacres from happening all over again, what we need is a ceasefire.